Let's say that we've got the equation 2x minus 1 times x plus 4 is equal to 0. Pause this video and see if you can figure out the x values that would satisfy this equation, or essentially our solutions to this equation. All right, now let's work through this together. So at first you might be tempted to multiply these things out, or there's multiple ways that you might have tried to approach it. But the key realization here is that you have two things being multiplied and it's being equal to 0. So you have the first thing being multiplied is 2x minus 1. This expression is being multiplied by x plus 4. And to get it to be equal to 0, one or both of these expressions needs to be equal to 0. Let me really reinforce that idea. If I had two variables, let's say a and b, and I told you a times b is equal to 0. Well, can you get the product of two numbers to equal 0 without at least one of them being equal to 0? And the simple answer is no. If a is 7, the only way that you would get 0 is if b is 0. Or if b was 5, the only way to get 0 is if a is 0. So you see from this example, either, let me write this down, either a or b or both, because 0 times 0 is 0, or both must be 0. The only way that you get the product of two quantities and you get 0 is if one or both of them is equal to 0. I really want to reinforce this idea. I'm going to put a red box around it so that it really gets stuck in your brain. And I want you to think about why that is. Try to come up with two numbers. Try to multiply them so that you get 0, and you're going to see that one of those numbers is going to need to be 0. So we're going to use this idea right over here. Now this might look a little bit different, but you could view 2x minus 1 as our a, and you could view x plus 4 as our b. So either 2x minus 1 needs to be equal to 0, or x plus 4 needs to be equal to 0, or both of them needs to be equal to 0. So I could write that as 2x minus 1 needs to be equal to 0, or x plus 4, or x, let me do that orange. Actually, let me do the 2x minus 1 in that yellow color. So either 2x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 4 is equal to 0. X plus 4 is equal to 0. And so let's solve each of these. If 2x minus 1 could be equal to 0, well, let's see, we could add 1 to both sides, and we get 2x is equal to 1. Divide both sides by 2. And this is just straightforward solving a linear equation. If this looks unfamiliar, I encourage you to watch videos on solving linear equations on Khan Academy. But you'll get x is equal to 1/2 as one solution. And this is interesting because we're going to have two solutions here. Or over here, if we want to solve for x, we can subtract 4 from both sides. And we would get x is equal to -4. So it's neat. In an equation like this, you can actually have two solutions. X could be equal to 1/2, or x could be equal to -4. And I think it's pretty interesting to substitute either one of these in. If x is equal to 1/2, what is going to happen? Well, this is going to be 2 times 1/2 minus 1, 2 times 1/2 minus 1. That's going to be our first expression. And then our second expression is going to be 1/2 plus 4. And so what's this going to be equal to? Well, 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I don't care what you have over here. 0 times anything is going to be equal to 0. So when x equals 1/2, the first thing becomes 0, making the product equal 0. And likewise, if x equals -4, it's pretty clear that this second expression is going to be 0. And even though this first expression isn't going to be 0 in that case, anything times 0 is going to be 0. Let's do one more example here. So let me delete out everything that I just wrote here. And so I'm going to involve a function. So let's say someone told you that f of x is equal to x minus 5 times 5x plus 2. And someone said, find the zeros of f of x. Well, the zeros are, what are the x values that make f of x equal to 0? When does f of x equal 0? For what? For what x values does f of x equal 0? That's what people are really asking when they say, find the zeros of f of x. So to do that, well, when does f of x equal 0? Well, f of x is equal to 0 when this expression right over here is equal to 0. And so it sets up just like the equation we just saw. X minus 5 times 5x plus 2, when does that equal 0? And like we saw before, this is just like what we saw before, and I encourage you to pause the video and try to work it out on your own. So there's two situations where this could happen, where either the first expression equals 0, or the second expression, or maybe in some cases you'll have a situation where both expressions equal 0. So we could say either x minus 5 is equal to 0, or 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. I'll write an or right over here. Now if we solve for x, you add 5 to both sides of this equation, you get x is equal to 5. Here, let's see, to solve for x, you can subtract 2 from both sides. You get 5x is equal to negative 2. Then you can divide both sides by 5 to solve for x, and you get x is equal to negative 2/5. So here are our two zeros. You input either one of these into f of x. If you input x equals 5, if you take f of 5, if you try to evaluate f of 5, then this first expression is going to be 0. And so a product of 0 and something else, it doesn't matter that this is going to be 27. 0 times 27 is 0. And if you take f of negative 2/5, it doesn't matter what this first expression is. The second expression right over here is going to be 0. 0 times anything